In a world teetering on the edge of chaos, one bold voice cuts through the noise, issuing a clear, uncompromising ultimatum. Former U.S. President Donald J. Trump has delivered a thunderous message to the Kremlin. Stop the invasion within 10 days, or face total isolation. This isn't just politics. This is power. This is pressure. And this is a pivotal moment in global history. Let's break it down, not just what this threat means for Putin, but what it teaches us about leadership, urgency, and standing up when it matters most. When the world is at a tipping point and the air is thick with tension, true leadership doesn't whisper, it roars with clarity. Trump's 10-day threat to Putin was not wrapped in diplomacy or sugar-coated statements. It was bold, direct, and utterly clear. Stop the invasion or face total isolation. In a world full of leaders who hesitate, delay, and use endless committees to avoid accountability, Trump's clarity cuts through like a sword. This isn't about whether you support him or not. This is about learning the power of being clear in your communication, your intentions, and your actions. Too often, people drift in life because they're afraid to commit to a stance. They keep options open, say maybe when they mean no, and avoid hard conversations just to keep things comfortable. But growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. And confrontation demands clarity. If your boss doesn't know where you stand, if your relationships are clouded by unspoken expectations, if your goals are vague and undefined, you will always live at the mercy of external forces. Just like a leader negotiating peace, you need to establish your line and make it known. Look at how this situation plays out on the global stage. A clear threat with a clear deadline. There's no room for misinterpretation. That kind of communication forces the other party to respond, not next month, not someday, but now. And that's the power you unlock when you speak with intention. People respond to clarity because it shows confidence. It says, I know who I am, what I stand for, and what I will not tolerate. That energy changes rooms. It shifts dynamics. It earns respect. In your own life, clarity looks like telling yourself the truth. It means defining what you want out of your career, your relationships, your health, your purpose. It's not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. Saying, this is my standard. This is my boundary. This is my direction. When you stop explaining, apologizing, or second-guessing, you step into a different level of power, one where your words carry weight and your actions create change. Trump's ultimatum reminds us that words only matter when they're firm and followed by action. Clarity is not cruelty. It is a form of respect for yourself and for others. It tells people, this is where I stand, and this is how I move. The question is, do you speak like a leader? Do you set terms, or do you just hope others understand? Stop hoping. Start leading. Clarity isn't just a skill, it's a responsibility. Courage is often mistaken for noise, for shouting louder, standing taller, or showing off strength in public. But real courage, the kind that moves nations and changes lives, happens in quiet decisions made when the pressure is highest. When Trump issued his 10-day threat to Putin, it wasn't just a political move, it was a confrontation with risk. A decision to stand up against one of the most powerful and unpredictable leaders on the planet. And whether you admire him or not, the moment teaches a deeper lesson. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act despite it. In our everyday lives, we face invasions of a different kind. Maybe it's the invasion of doubt, of fear, of the opinions of others. Maybe it's an overwhelming situation that's slowly taking over your peace of mind, your time, or your energy. The easy route is to ignore it, to avoid the fight, to stay quiet, and let things slide. But what grows in silence becomes a storm. Just like global conflicts escalate when unchecked, the battles in your own life expand when you refuse to confront them. Confrontation isn't about aggression. It's not about anger or war. It's about choosing to face what you'd rather avoid. That difficult conversation you keep putting off, that toxic environment you tolerate, that personal weakness you keep excusing. Every time you delay, you hand over control. You let the problem grow while your confidence shrinks. But the moment you decide to confront, to look it in the eye and say no more, that's the moment courage begins. Think of Trump staring down Putin's aggression, whether it was political theater or pure resolve. The essence of the moment was this: I see what you're doing, and I'm not afraid to call it out. That statement is powerful in any context. At work, in relationships, in your dreams. When you confront the problem instead of running from it, you shift from victim to leader. You no longer wait for change, you become the change. But courage doesn't come naturally. It's trained, built, and forged through discomfort. It starts with small acts of bravery, saying what you truly feel, standing up when others stay seated, drawing a line when everyone tells you to bend. With each choice, you strengthen your inner resolve. You teach yourself that fear will not have the final say. In global politics, confrontation is dangerous, but necessary. In life, it's no different. The longer you stay silent, the more power you lose. But when you speak with courage, even if your voice shakes, you start taking your life back, piece by piece. Remember, courage isn't about fighting everyone. It's about facing what matters. So ask yourself, what have you been avoiding? What needs to be confronted today? Don't wait for the perfect moment. The power is already inside you. You just have to decide, enough is enough. There's a reason deadlines exist. They turn vague intentions into urgent actions. When Trump gave Putin 10 days to halt the invasion or face total isolation, it wasn't an open-ended suggestion. It was a line drawn in time, and that's what most people are missing in their lives. Urgency, not panic, not stress, but focused, non-negotiable urgency that drives movement. Without it, goals become dreams, plans turn into excuses, and years pass while nothing changes. A deadline, when respected, is one of the most powerful tools in human behavior. It forces clarity. It demands discipline. Trump didn't say, eventually we hope you stop. He said, you have 10 days. That countdown forces a decision. It creates pressure, and pressure reveals truth, whether someone's committed or just pretending. Now shift that spotlight onto your own life. How many things are still sitting on your to-do list because you never gave them a deadline? How many personal battles are dragging on because you never set a moment to resolve them? How many dreams have stayed dreams because you keep saying someday? Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up when you say you will, especially when the countdown is on. That's why deadlines matter. When you tell yourself, I have 10 days to finish this, your mind starts to rearrange your priorities. The things that don't matter fall away. The excuses get quieter. The distractions lose power. You wake up with a mission, and that mindset, one rooted in urgency, is what separates achievers from talkers. Now, some people fear deadlines. They think pressure will break them. But in reality, pressure shapes you. Just like coal turns into diamonds under pressure, your true potential comes out when the clock is ticking. A deadline doesn't take away your freedom. It gives you structure. It helps you stop negotiating with your laziness. It helps you stop delaying your greatness. When there's no deadline, everything feels optional. And when everything's optional, nothing gets done. Trump's deadline wasn't just political, it was strategic. It was designed to spark action, to force attention, to show seriousness. That same principle works in your personal life. Set a 10-day challenge for yourself. Give yourself a non-negotiable goal. Maybe it's building a habit, starting a project, ending a toxic pattern, or having that hard conversation. Don't give yourself forever. Give yourself a deadline that makes your heart beat faster. Because in the end, success doesn't go to the smartest or the most talented. It goes to the most urgent. The people who act now, who don't wait, who treat time like it matters. Those are the ones who lead, create, build, and inspire. So ask yourself, what have I been putting off? What would change if I gave myself just 10 days, no more, no less, to start? Set the clock, then go, because your next level is waiting, and it won't wait forever. Sometimes the strongest move you can make isn't to fight louder. It's to walk away, to cut off access, to remove the oxygen from the fire. When Trump warned Putin of total isolation if the invasion didn't stop within 10 days, It wasn't just a threat of war or sanctions. It was a calculated reminder that removal can be more damaging than retaliation. And that's a lesson many people overlook in their personal lives. You don't always have to explode to make your point. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disconnect. We live in a world where people feel like they have to prove their worth, explain their boundaries, or justify their limits. But true power comes from knowing you don't owe access to anyone or anything that drains you. Just like world leaders use isolation to apply pressure, you too have the right to step back and say, this no longer serves me. Whether it's a person, a habit, an environment, or even a mindset. Not everything deserves a seat at your table. Think about the people or situations you've allowed to stay far longer than they should have. Maybe it's someone who constantly disrespects you, but you keep forgiving. Maybe it's a habit that you know is killing your progress, but you keep entertaining it. Maybe it's a voice in your own head that tells you you're not good enough, and you keep listening. Isolation, in this sense, isn't about bitterness. It's about boundaries. It's about creating space for peace, growth, and focus. Trump's strategy with the threat of isolation is clear: remove the benefits, take away the support systems, shut the doors that make aggression possible. That same method applies in our lives. You want to regain control? Cut off the fuel. You want to find clarity? Remove the noise. You want to protect your peace? Set the boundary, then keep it. We waste too much energy explaining our choices to people who are committed to misunderstanding us. Sometimes, silence is your greatest weapon. Distance is your best defense. There's a strength in isolation that people underestimate. It teaches you who's really for you. It reveals what's essential. It forces you to depend on your own inner resources. And more importantly, it helps you reset. Because when you're constantly surrounded by chaos, you forget what peace even feels like. When you're always pouring into others, you forget how to pour into yourself. Isolation, when used wisely, is not abandonment, it's alignment. The key is to remember that access to you is a privilege, not a right. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to close the door. And you are allowed to stop fighting battles that only exhaust you, like world leaders using strategy over warfare. Sometimes the best move isn't to engage, it's to retreat, refocus, and rebuild. Cut off the noise. Choose your peace. And never be afraid to isolate what tries to destroy you. Strength doesn't always come with noise. It isn't always about who shouts the loudest, has the biggest following, or dominates the headlines. Real strength often shows itself in stillness, in consistency, in quiet confidence that doesn't need validation. When Trump issued his 10-day threat to Putin, what made the world pay attention wasn't just the deadline, it was the firmness behind the message. The strength was in the posture, the tone, the refusal to negotiate under pressure. And that strength sent a signal: this is non-negotiable. That's what the world responds to. Strength backed by certainty. People, whether in politics, business, or daily life, are drawn to confidence and clarity. When you walk into a room and you're clear about who you are, what you believe, and what you stand for, people notice. You don't have to convince them. You just are. And that energy shifts everything around you. But too often, we underestimate our own influence. We think we need more credentials, more followers, more proof. The truth is, what you need more than anything is belief in your own strength. Think of all the times you've let people overstep your boundaries. Not because they were stronger, but because you doubted yourself. You weren't sure if you deserved better. You second-guessed your standards. That's not weakness. That's condition. You've been taught that being strong means being aggressive. But strength is also in saying no without guilt. It's in walking away without drama. It's in not explaining your worth to anyone who refuses to see it. When Trump made his position clear to Putin, he didn't ask for permission. He didn't poll the world to see how people felt. He set the tone. And that's what you need to do in your own life. Set the tone. Decide who you are and how you will be treated. People will adjust or they won't. But either way, your strength creates the boundary. Your strength sets the standard. This is not about politics. This is about posture. It's about knowing that the world bends to people who are anchored in who they are. If you don't claim your space, someone else will. If you don't draw the line, others will keep crossing it. If you don't lead your own life, you'll be led, often in directions that serve everyone but you. The world responds to strength because strength brings stability. In uncertain times, people look for something or someone that doesn't shake under pressure. Be that person in your own life. Be the one who stays grounded when everything feels unstable. Be the one who doesn't flinch when tested. Because when you show up with strength, not arrogance, not noise, but real strength, you won't need to chase respect. It will meet you where you stand. Stand firm, speak clearly, move with purpose, and let the world adjust to the power of your presence. This isn't just about Putin or politics. It's about you, your voice, your vision, and your power to act with boldness. The world changes when people refuse to be silent, when people set ultimatums not out of hate, but out of principle. So what's your 10-day ultimatum? Who or what have you let cross the line for too long? Decide now, act fast, and let your strength echo louder than your silence ever could.